both truly disliked children. He did not like children. He thought that they were a liability. Again, it's just so not super sexy to have all these kids around when I'm trying to gush inside of all these women without condoms. And then you wonder why, he doesn't really get the memo that in the end, you got to do is pull out, shoot it into a bucket.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose if you got a little spittoon around there.
We're not talking 1 or 2 kids. We're talking 24 children.
Oh, my God.
That he produced over the time in his cult.
It's like I hate black licorice, but what if I just kept making black licorice and just leaving it all over the house? You know what I mean? It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's very true.
But before we get into the full tale of Rock Terrio, let's acknowledge our source today. On this one, we've got Savage Messiah by Paul Kalla and Ross Laver, which is a solid, if sometimes overly judgmental, true crime book with fascinating details.
I will say I watched a horrible documentary that did nothing. That it was one of the worst names for a documentary series that I've ever seen. It was called Very Bad Men. And you're like, ooh, yeah, he's very bad. And you're like, no, yeah, this isn't Bruce Willis from Moonlighting. Or you mean this is fucking? He's a very. He actually, you know what? I'm saying I take it back. He is a very bad man. I just wish they put more details into it.
Well, and that's just a great reference there for anyone who is older than us. Moonlighting.
Yeah,
what a
Moonlighting,
show it was.
Before
that was
our
from
time.
Before we were born.
No, I watched Moonlighting. Even I got the sexual attention as a boy.
I don't know.
Now, Rock Terrio was born in Quebec in 1947 to devout Catholics Hyacinthe and Pierre Terrio. And of course, it's French-Canadian. I'm going to fuck up a lot of French names. Just bear with me.
Yeah. The French stuff is hard. Also, similar to Order of the Solar Temple, a lot of the original documents are in French. So there's actually not. I actually thought that this cult would be way more covered in English, and it's not. There's certain sections that I'm going to get into as we go, and I'm also on the lookout for Rock Therio's fucking memoirs. If anybody has an English translation, I want one. Terrio. God damn it!
All right.
Rock was one of 8 children, and when he was 6, the family moved to a small asbestos mining community called Thetford Mines.
They were mining asbestos, huh?
Yeah.
So you want to keep that where it is.
It's called. we like to call that Spicy Cloud Junction.
Oh,
Yeah, that was in a district in Quebec that was known for asbestos mining, and Thetford Mines was one of the most successful asbestos mines in the entire province.
that's great. Killed my grandfather at 66. Asbestos. Got cancer. Between that and my grandmother, he did not have a good chance to live long.
Was that the grandmother whose pants kept falling down?
Yeah. And she kept on falling. Even when sitting, her pants would fall down.
Did he get that poisoning from Buchenwald?
I don't know what happened, but I do know my grandmother apologized on his deathbed. So isn't that nice? She apologized to him as he was dying. So that worked out great.
The Terrios were described by neighbors simply as backwoods people. And while Rock's mother sounded like a fairly normal human being, his father was a religious zealot.
But then does that make her a normal human being? If you marry, I feel like what happens? Like how do you marry a religious zealot if you're just a Jennifer Aniston?
I feel like it's so much cuter if it's the mom that's super crazy into Catholicism, but the dad is like, well, Wendy's just a little bit nuts. But like if the dad
then it becomes sinister.
Yeah, then it becomes really scary.
Double standard.
It is kind of a double standard.
No, well, I think because the father often gets violent with the scariness.
That's it. That was the reason.
Mommies get violent.
Yes, they do.
Mommies do get violent, but daddies are more likely to be the violent ones.
I remember when I was really harassing my mom one time, and it was harass her, and then she hit me in the head with the phone. But then she came in, and then she cried for like an hour, being like, I never. So I feel like there was other things going on besides just me like being annoying while she was on the phone.
See, that is a psychological mind fuck.
Oh yeah, when you get hit and then they cry,
and you're like, it's okay. You want to hit me again?
Well, Hyacinthe was a member of an authoritarian fascist group of Catholics called the White Berets, so named for their distinctive headgear. Rebranded today as the Pilgrims of St. Michael, the White Berets were an offshoot of a more conspiratorial movement. Originally, it was a pretty standard New World Order, the Jews run everything mishmash. But by the time Hyacinthe joined, the White Berets' main goal was to destroy the secular world and hand control of all institutions over to the Catholic Church.
No, a bit of a slippery slope there. I looked them up. I'm getting to learn a little bit more because not that I've been vaguely, even remotely political, but I've been reading more and more about the idea, like, political concepts. And there's stuff like that you find out that I guess the term is dog whistle to fascists that I didn't know. Like, if you look up the term social credit, there's michaeljournal.org, which is the last of the vestiges of this group, which is, it just says Michael for the triumph of the immaculate, which seems really funny for a bunch of people that just, there's a lot of pictures of weird goblin-like people with large noses on this website to be that immaculate.
Interesting.
But social credit is one of those things that, like, it says, oh, we got to give things back to the workers, we got to do all this stuff. But then you find out, whenever they picture a banker, it's like one of those goblins from Harry Potter.
No kidding. Not good. Social credit system. Not very fun.
And so, every Sunday, Hyacinth forced his children to go door to door in their small community with a collection box to gather cash for the White Beret cause. He'd knock on the doors of strangers, and as soon as they'd open their door, they'd be met with a litter of tiny Quebecois children falling to their knees and shouting prayers as Hyacinth made his Pope above all pitch.
Wow.
You got to give them something.
Just to get him out of there. Just like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was a shakedown. It was a full shakedown. It was just like jiggling the coins in the box like, hey, we'll get out of here if you just give us a couple of dollars.
It's the religious equivalent of when the guy used to come on the train, the L train, that used to play the saxophone horribly. And he had that sign that says, play me to stop. Pay me to stop.
Guy. That is still to this day my favorite subway performer.
Well, he would step on this train. He would say, "I'm from outer space, and I'm here to rock you."
Yeah,
and then he was awesome.
It was rough, but I always paid him.
You have to.
Also, what is it about hats?
What do you mean?
What is it about making a group wear a specific hat that makes everybody bad?
You can't hide a hat.
But I don't understand. What is it about hats?
I guess the Shriners are okay. They've all got the fezzes. They're not too sinister.
I don't know. They still do that weird ceremony where they all pretend to blow each other, and then they go down the weird razor slide, and then they do weird, and then it's a lot of tricycles. There's a lot of old men on tricycles.
No, I don't think so. The Shriners,
they're helping cars.
Yeah, and they're helping the kids with the cancer. And their hats are fun. They can be used as a soup bowl if you're on the road.
But do they think playing with the kid's butthole is helping them distract from cancer?
Well,
that's a controversial statement.
Well, because you just said the word distract, which would it distract? Yeah. But is that good? No.
I don't know. Maybe they think it's, the ends means the means, or ends
No.
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 Well, as far as Rock went, he hated participating in these White Beret donation drives, and he considered these weekly marches with his father and siblings as humiliations of the highest order. It instilled a deep resentment for the Catholic Church, which would never go away. From what it seems like, though, this made Rock the odd man out in the family. From what Hyacinth later said in the late 80s, shouting at reporters through his closed door, he raised 7 children and only 1 turned out like Rock.
He's not wrong.
That's not bad. Pretty good odds, actually.
But if there was 2 Rocks, then he would have to be put in the Hague. You know what I mean?
Well, that's not good.
Like he just kind of barely made the mark of being a fine father.
But from a young age, Rock was taught pain. As children, he and his siblings would play a game with their father called Bone. In this game, Hyacinth and the kids would sit around the dinner table, kicking each other in the shins with big boots as hard as they could until one of them finally said, "Stop, enough."
I think they did that at the Kennedy's house, too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we used to do that as kids. You kind of punch your friends in the shoulder and stuff. This isn't that bad.
Yeah, you don't play that game with your dad, though.
No, my dad was home at night.
Don't do this.
He's a truck driver.
Marcus, no. Marcus, why did you do this? No. Oh my God, his tears are so big and they smell like marinara.
Now, Rock claimed that his father severely beat him throughout his childhood. But as we know, cult leaders, for the most part, are even more untrustworthy than serial killers when it comes to stories about their past. Never believe a cult leader.
You say untrustworthy. I say they are weavers of tales. They are storytellers. Their whole point is to make the legend bigger than it ever was. They got to make the legend shoot out into the universe. Look at L. Ron Hubbard. He understood you have to lie so deeply that you lie within your personal journals. Rock Terrio was like that. He created a memoir. He wrote this 100-page memoir at some point during the cult rise. I believe it was when he went to jail that changed his whole life story. And because you got to make yourself a success.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Rock claimed that his father would push him down the stairs of their home and lock him in the cellar. And one of Rock's wives claimed that Rock had been beaten so severely as a child that surgeons found scarring on his internal organs. But as far as we know, none of this was ever confirmed. In fact, everyone who knew the Terrios said that while the whole white beret thing was a little odd and overbearing, none of the 8 kids showed any signs of abuse, and all of them except Rock seemed healthy and happy.
He was a born narcissist.
Yeah.
The anger towards his father comes from being embarrassed more than anything else. It comes from having to put the hat on and do all of these things and prostrate himself and be super vulnerable against his will, which you're going to find out, he is not a person. He's the kind of guy that would get really mad if he